Why mental illness is the result of a meaningless society. What if I told you that the mental struggles we face today, depression, anxiety, but existential dread, aren't just individual battles, but symptoms of something far greater? That they aren't merely chemical imbalances, but the natural response to a world that has stripped life of meaning? Think about it. Every day we wake up to a world that demands productivity but offers little purpose. We chase goals that feel empty, work jobs that drain us, and scroll through endless distractions just to avoid sitting alone with our thoughts. But ask yourself, is this really living? Or are we just surviving? Mental illness isn't new, but something has changed. In ancient societies, people faced hardships, wars, famine, disease, but they weren't drowning in existential despair the way we are now. Why? Because their suffering had meaning. A warrior who lost a limb in battle was honored. A mother who lost her child grieved, but she was surrounded by a community that helped her find purpose in that grief. Today, we suffer in silence. We pop pills, we go to therapy, we try meditation apps, but the void remains. Because the problem isn't just in our minds, it's in the society we've built. We're told that happiness comes from success, from wealth, from being admired. But have you ever noticed that the people who have it all often seem just as lost? Celebrities overdose, billionaires fall into depression. Influencers who appear to be living the dream often admit to feeling empty. Why? Because the things we chase aren't real meaning. They're distractions, placeholders for something deeper that we've lost. And the worst part, society gaslights us into believing that we are the problem. That if we're depressed, it's because we're weak, ungrateful, or not trying hard enough. But what if the truth is the opposite? What if depression is actually the mind's way of rebelling against a meaningless existence? Imagine being thrown into a video game with no objective. No quests, no missions, just endless wandering. At first, it might seem freeing, but eventually, you'd start to feel lost, directionless. Maybe you'd try to create your own goals, collecting things, building status, but deep down, you'd know none of it mattered. The game would become unbearable. This is the modern human experience. We are born into a world where traditional meaning, religion, community, deep purpose has been eroded, and we're expected to just make our own. But meaning isn't something you can fabricate out of thin air. It has to be discovered, not invented. And without it, we suffer.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
Now, skeptics might argue, but we have more freedom than ever. But we can choose our careers, our identities, our lifestyles. Isn't that a good thing? Yes and no. Freedom without direction can be paralyzing. If you throw someone into the ocean and tell them they can swim anywhere, it doesn't mean they won't drown. In the past, meaning was handed down through religion, tradition, shared struggles. Now, we're expected to manufacture it ourselves with no guidance, no framework. And when we fail to do so, we assume something is wrong with us, not with the system. Here's the real question. If society is making us sick, why do we keep participating in it? Why do we accept a system that drains us, isolates us, and convinces us that our suffering is a personal flaw rather than a collective crisis? Maybe it's because we've been conditioned to believe that opting out isn't an option. We're told that questioning the system is complaining, that seeking deeper meaning is overthinking, that wanting more from life is unrealistic. But isn't it more unrealistic to expect people to live joyfully in a world designed to strip them of purpose? Here's the uncomfortable truth. The way we live today is unnatural. Humans evolved in tight-knit tribes where survival depended on cooperation, where every person had a role, where suffering was shared and meaning was woven into daily life. Now we live in isolated boxes, spend most of our time staring at screens, and interact with the world through digital avatars. We work jobs that feel meaningless to buy things we don't need to impress people we don't even know. And we wonder why we feel empty. So what's the solution? Do we abandon modern life and retreat to the woods? Not necessarily. But we must recognize that the way we're living is making us sick. We have to stop blaming individuals for feeling lost and start addressing the systemic causes of that despair. We have to reclaim meaning, not the shallow kind sold to us by corporations and influencers, but real, deep, intrinsic purpose. And to do that, we have to ask, what is meaning? Where does it come from? And why have we lost it? The illusion of progress, how modern society traded meaning for comfort. We are told that society is advancing, that we are more evolved, more enlightened, but more civilized than ever before. But if that's true, why do so many of us feel like something is missing? Why do rates of depression and anxiety continue to skyrocket despite all the conveniences, technologies, and freedoms we've gained? The answer is unsettling. We have mistaken comfort for progress. But look around. We live in a world where almost everything is designed to be easy. We don't have to hunt for food, walk long distances, or even engage in deep social bonds to survive. We can order anything from our phones, consume endless entertainment with a click, and distract ourselves from discomfort at all times. But has this abundance of ease made us happier? Or has it made us weaker, more disconnected, more lost? Here's a paradox. The more we remove struggle from life, the more meaningless life becomes. Think about it. Why do people voluntarily run marathons, climb mountains, engage in difficult creative work? Because deep down we crave challenge. We need struggle, not just to survive, but to thrive. Hardship forces us to grow, to push beyond ourselves, to find purpose in something greater than temporary pleasure. But modern society has systematically eliminated natural struggle, replacing it with artificial distractions. And the result? A world where people feel empty but don't know why. We have been sold a lie that meaning can be found in endless consumption. That if we just buy the right things, achieve the right status, gain the right approval, we will finally feel whole. But has it ever worked? When you finally get that promotion, that car, that validation, does it fill the void? Or does it just create the need for the next thing, and the next? It's a treadmill, an endless cycle that keeps us running, but never arriving. And perhaps the cruelest trick of all is that society profits from our emptiness. Think about it. If you felt deeply fulfilled, would you need to constantly seek entertainment? If you had a strong sense of purpose, would you be as easily manipulated by advertisements telling you what to buy to fix yourself? A meaningless society needs people to feel lost, because lost people make the perfect consumers. They seek external solutions to an internal problem. They chase dopamine instead of purpose. And corporations, industries, even entire economic systems depend on this cycle to continue. But let's take a step back. If consumption and comfort don't bring true meaning, what does? This is where things get uncomfortable, because the answer isn't something you can buy or download. Meaning is found in suffering with purpose. Not suffering for the sake of suffering, but struggle in pursuit of something real, creating, building, connecting, growing. The most meaningful moments in life are rarely the easiest. Raising a child, pursuing a passion, overcoming adversity, these things are hard, but they matter. This is why people in war-torn countries, despite their suffering, often report higher levels of meaning in life than those in wealthy nations drowning in comfort. It's why people who endure hardship together, soldiers, disaster survivors, tight-knit communities, form bonds that are nearly unbreakable. They have been forced to confront life rather than numb themselves to it. And in that confrontation, they find meaning. But here's the tragedy. Modern life has removed the natural opportunities for this kind of meaning. We don't struggle together anymore. We struggle alone, in silence, behind screens, in therapy sessions, convinced that our suffering is a personal defect rather than evidence of a broken system. And as a result, instead of transforming our pain into purpose, we medicate it away, distract ourselves from it, or worse, lose ourselves to it entirely. So here's the real question. What if your suffering isn't a sign that something is wrong with you, but a sign that something is wrong with the world you've been forced to live in? What if depression isn't just a chemical imbalance, but a natural response to a life devoid of real meaning? What if anxiety isn't just a disorder, but a rational reaction to a society that isolates, overstimulates, and disconnects us from what truly matters? And most importantly, if we recognize this, what do we do about it? Reclaiming meaning, how to escape the psychological traps of modern society. If modern society is making us sick, if the way we live is stripping life of meaning, then the next question is obvious: can we escape it? Can we carve out a life that feels real, fulfilling, and deeply connected, even while trapped in a system designed to keep us numb? The answer isn't easy, but it's possible. And it starts with recognizing the invisible psychological traps that keep us stuck. The first and most dangerous trap is distraction. We live in an attention economy where corporations fight for every second of our focus, not because they care about us, but because our attention is valuable. It's social media, entertainment, endless scrolling. It's all engineered to keep us engaged but empty. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to waste hours consuming content only to feel drained afterward? That's because most modern distractions don't nourish us, they sedate us. They keep us from confronting the deeper questions that might force us to change. And that's exactly why they are so addictive. The second trap is false purpose. Society doesn't just leave us without meaning, it offers us artificial substitutes. Career success, social status, wealth, beauty, influence. But these things are hollow when pursued for their own sake. How many people chase money only to find themselves miserable once they have it? How many influencers, despite their perfect lives online, admit to feeling depressed and lost? These pursuits are traps because they promise fulfillment but never deliver it. They keep us running, always believing that happiness is just one more achievement away. But if meaning could be bought or achieved, why do the most successful people often feel just as lost as everyone else? The third trap is isolation. Humans are social creatures. We evolved to rely on deep, meaningful connections with others. But modern life has made real connection harder than ever. We interact through screens, live in separate boxes, and mistake online validation for real relationships. Loneliness has become a silent epidemic, and yet we are shamed for admitting it. We are told that independence is strength, that needing others is weakness. But the truth is, a meaningful life is not built alone. It is built through relationships, shared struggles, and a sense of belonging. So how do we break free? How do we reclaim meaning in a world designed to strip it from us? The answer is both simple and difficult. We must create our own meaning, but not in the way society tells us to. First, we have to disconnect from the noise. If your mind is constantly filled with external input, social media, news, entertainment, you will never have the space to ask yourself what actually matters. Silence is uncomfortable, but it is necessary. Imagine if, instead of filling every free moment with distractions, you allowed yourself to sit with your thoughts. To ask the hard questions: what do I truly care about? What kind of life do I actually want? What is worth suffering for? Second, we must embrace struggle, but on our own terms. Modern society has removed natural struggle and replaced it with artificial stress, deadlines, meaningless work, status anxiety. But real, fulfilling struggle is different. It is the challenge of creating something meaningful, of pushing yourself beyond comfort, of dedicating yourself to something greater than yourself. This could be art, philosophy, community, physical mastery, anything that requires effort and offers intrinsic fulfillment. The key is that the struggle must be chosen, not imposed. Third, we need to rebuild real human connection. Not surface-level interactions, not digital validation, but deep, meaningful relationships. But this means prioritizing real conversations over online interactions. But it means seeking out people who challenge and inspire you, not just those who agree with you. It means being willing to be vulnerable, to admit that you need others, to create a tribe even if society tells you that you should be fine on your own. Ultimately, escaping a meaningless society does not mean rejecting modern life entirely, but it means learning to live within it, but not be consumed by it. It means recognizing the traps, seeing through the illusions, and choosing to live intentionally rather than passively. It means understanding that meaning is not something handed to us, it is something we must fight for. But here's the real question: are you willing to fight for it? Or will you stay asleep, lost in the distractions, waiting for meaning to find you? The awakening, choosing a life of depth in a shallow world most people will never break free. That's the harsh truth. They will live their lives trapped in cycles of distraction, chasing false purposes, numbing themselves against the quiet despair that creeps in whenever the noise dies down. They will scroll endlessly, work tirelessly, consume mindlessly, all while convincing themselves that this is just how life is. But deep down, they will know something is missing. They will feel it in the moments between distractions, in the silence of the night, but in the fleeting glimpses of something deeper that they quickly push away because confronting it feels too overwhelming. But what if you didn't push it away? What if, instead of running from the discomfort, you let it guide you towards something real? The first step to reclaiming meaning is to stop expecting it to come from outside yourself. But society has conditioned us to believe that purpose is something we find through careers, relationships, status, but in reality, meaning is something we build. It is something we cultivate through our choices, our struggles, our willingness to engage deeply with life rather than skim its surface. The world will not hand you meaning. In fact, it will do everything in its power to keep you from finding it, because a person who has meaning is a person who cannot be controlled. A person who has meaning does not need to buy things to feel whole, does not need validation to feel worthy, does not need constant entertainment to avoid their own thoughts. A person who has meaning is truly free. But freedom comes with a cost. To live a meaningful life in a meaningless society means rejecting the easy path. It means being willing to feel discomfort, to embrace solitude, to walk away from the mindless pursuits that everyone else is chasing. It means choosing depth over distraction, creation over consumption, real human connection over superficial validation. And that is not easy. There will be moments when you feel alone, when you question if you're making the right choice, when the pull of the system tries to drag you back in. But the alternative is worse. The alternative is spending your life sleepwalking, never truly living, never truly feeling, never truly understanding what it means to be alive. To live a life of meaning, you must ask yourself, what am I willing to suffer for? Because meaning is not found in comfort, it is found in sacrifice. It is found in the things you are willing to dedicate yourself to, even when they are hard, even when they offer no immediate reward, even when society tells you they don't matter. It could be creating something that outlives you, building something with your own hands, helping others in a way that is real and tangible. It could be mastering a skill not for approval, but for the sake of the challenge itself. It could be forming relationships that are raw and honest, that demand vulnerability, that require you to be present rather than distracted. Whatever it is, it will not be easy, but it will be real. The world will try to pull you back. It will tempt you with comfort, with distractions, with the illusion that you are missing out. But ask yourself this, what is the real loss? Missing out on the shallow, temporary pleasures that everyone else is addicted to? Or missing out on a life of purpose, depth, and true fulfillment? Because at the end of it all, when you look back on your life, will you be proud of how you spent your time? Or will you realize, too late, that you were never truly awake? The choice is yours. Stay asleep, and life will pass by in a blur of empty pleasures and forgotten moments. Wake up, and everything changes. But once you see the truth, you can never unsee it. Once you understand what you've been missing, you can never go back. So ask yourself, right now, which path will you choose?